Hey, good evening and welcome to the verbal portion of my feedback for your literary review paper. I'd ask that to begin, you'd have both my written feedback and the assignment rubric handy, as my purpose is really to help you enhance what is already really a solid paper as far as content, and to link any edits or revisions back objectively to the rubric. We really want to be anchored in that. So here's the overall goal of this assignment. We really wanted to review the literature, that is the evidence, the studies, the sources, and what they say about your assigned topic, which was factors that contribute to relationship satisfaction. And again, up front, you accomplished that goal very well. You brought that out, so that's not in question. Taking a look real quick at kind of the structural requirements of the assignment. I go into greater detail on these in the written feedback as well. They're important, but I didn't want to make the core of my feedback all about the grammar and the structure. One thing I will bring out, though, is that I really like the way that you rotated your sources, your citations that were used. You had nice 2, 2, and 2 across the board that all contained your studies as needed for each of your subcategories, your sub-themes, if you will, of the body of the paper. Same thing organizationally, you hit these by the numbers as well. Intro was there, the body with 3 themes that emerged were all there, a summary within the conclusion, all accomplished that very well. Kind of just as an overall upfront feedback for you, this paper is already a really strong effort. You put a lot of hard work into it. I do think that if you put about an hour of minor revisions and edits into it, you can result in leveling this up really by a full letter grade if you take that time. Just want to encourage you to do so because that's well within your control. It can be attributed to the effort that you make. So let's get to the actual feedback portion of the content. Again, the knowledge is there. It's evident that you did the research. There's a few places where your writing, I think, could enhance your findings that you worked so hard to bring out. So really taking a look at this one quote, there's a few times where the tone of how you write, I don't think quite do the justice to the truth that's contained in them, that you could just restructure it and reword it. So looking at this one, some people think that just because they're there for the romantic partner and they tell them that they love them, that means the relationship is satisfying and it's a wonderful relationship. Well, those people are wrong. Again, this one, really has more of a feel of an opinion kind of statement. I think you could recast this statement here and make it link better to the research. The research is there in this paragraph. You've linked it to a study by Burke. Both sides of this sentence are really strong. If you actually remove this statement, the paragraph flows great. I don't think you need to do that, however. I think you could just restructure it and keep it, but just have it read a little bit less like a personal opinion and link it more to the actual research that you work so hard to glean. Moving on to your 3 main themes that emerged from the research, you brought these out, defined them really well. The first one is passion, which you talk about, commitment, and then you began by talking about intimacy in your intro paragraph, but then later when you actually arrive at that point in the paper, you switch to optimism. Just make sure you go back and change that. That looked like maybe you did a kind of a switch on the fly. When the time comes, you do describe optimism and what it's all about. So that's simply going back and changing the word to optimism in that subsection. So taking a look at your first sub-theme, you talked about passion. And really, I had 2 observations here, and they're kind of questions for you. You seem to sort of unwittingly or unintentionally, definitely, to contradict yourself a little bit. You kind of start out by saying that based on this study by Fletcher, that passion starts out strong, but that it wanes with couples over time. So it sounds like it's something that we can normally expect, and yet you then go on to identify it as the most important component of relationship satisfaction. So take a look at that in a way to maybe make that fit a little more harmoniously. one thing you might want to do is taking a look at your research. I asked the question if you encountered any other examples of studies for maybe older enduring couples, since Fletcher draws heavily from this undergraduate population of younger couples. And if you want to look at couples that have enduring relationships together, maybe find a study that revolves around them that you could cite and see if passion is still, and particularly the physical attractiveness, is such a key component to relationship satisfaction. And again, minor changes there. Taking a look at your next heading, it was commitment, your second theme that emerged. Here you say commitment is everything in a relationship. It is the main cognitive component in a relationship, and you cite Burke again. Commitment is saying that two people love each other, that they truly love each other, and maintaining that love throughout the relationship. Really, the first half of that is awesome. I love that you make a link to a cognitive component and you cite Burke. But then take a look at that second sentence and see if there's some way you can kind of redo that one, because it definitely verges on opinion again. And structurally, I don't know that it works. Take a look at it. That is one place where you probably do want to look at the grammar and rework that sentence. Again, overall, it's a great block, a thought block, a good concept. I don't think you need to scrap it, but just look and see if you can restructure it if that's possible. Again, this is in the commitment section. This is really your closer for commitment. And you say being committed to someone else is a strong thing to do and requires someone to make certain sacrifices and give up quality time. In the end, it is worth it, especially when you find someone who is worth giving up your time to commit to them. Again, there might be a way you can recast this to where it doesn't sound like, and really not just a personal opinion, but like something from your experience as well, which is great that you have that. But if you could find a way to make the research speak and recast it in a way that says, well, the research, the literature indicates that these things are worth it in a relationship, or couples that are satisfied indicate that that this is a component of commitment. So again, take a look at that one as well. Your third theme that emerged was optimism. And with optimism, your quote says, some people choose not to want to solve things these days, and that is part of the reason so many couples break up. Again, that reads almost like a platitude or like an opinion about kind of society today, not really moored in the fact and the findings that you dug so hard to bring out. However, seeing the good in others and the better side of a situation will lead to a more satisfying relationship. You could keep that second part if you followed it up with a good 1-2 punch of a good citation, linking it back to one of those sources that you cited. I think it's there. Again, I wouldn't scrap the whole thing. I think that you can probably salvage this one as well. Moving on to really your concluding paragraph, which overall I think you did a great job of having a summary and bringing it all together. I really liked the studies that were cited for this one, particularly the ones that, and I talk about this in the written feedback in a little more detail, but talking about the linkage to clinical issues, cognitive issues as well. Romantic relationships are all about putting the one you love before yourself. Do not be selfish or conceited or greedy. Put your loved one's needs before your own. It sounds easier said than done, but when you truly love someone, it comes easy. Again, this one, not just sounding like a personal opinion, but a little bit preachy, a little bit directive, I think, to the reader, like a mandate. And I definitely would take a look at that and retool this one as well. Link it to that empirical evidence that is clearly there, that you've done the hard work to do. Make sure that the way you write this block does justice to the literature that you consulted, that you clearly consulted, that you did a great job with. So kind of in my conclusion, and again, turning to that analytical rubric, and you can see that broken down, and then the written feedback that I provide as well. Overall, I have you sitting right now based on the rubric criteria at a B grade. You have A's in my book according to content and resources. The overall knowledge and content is there. The resources are done properly. You have your 7 with at least 3 linked to studies as well. The category you should really take a look at, and each example that I provided for you specifically really drew on the writing skills category. Really focus on that because you're sitting at that BC category, and that's bringing you, I think, to a B 1 hour of scrubbing those few quotes, I'm confident and just want to encourage you to do so, because you'd be able to level up to an A grade without question. So thank you for your efforts. Great research done, just a little bit of massaging and retooling of the content, particularly the writing skills portion, and you're going to be looking great. Thanks.